Gloria Steinem became the face of the women's rights revolution in the 1960s. She began her crusade for social change as a journalist. In 1972, she co-founded Ms. Magazine. The publication by and for women examined taboo subjects like domestic violence and pay disparity. She championed reproductive rights and equal opportunities in the workplace. Steinem's first book in more than 20 years is called My Life on the Road. She explores crisscrossing the country, talking with everyone from civil rights leaders to students. Gloria, welcome back.
Thank you so much.
What's interesting, go ahead.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. What's interesting about this is that, as you have said, I travel because I still have hope and energy, and I get that from travel.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I mean, if I stayed in one spot and just read the news, I would feel profoundly differently and more discouraged. But it's so important to go out there in an on-the-road state of mind and be present with all five senses. You know, really, you can only empathize if you're present.
Absolutely.
I know, but Gloria, you talk about in two decades of being on the road, you were only home 8 days, Gloria. That is a whole lot of traveling.
Yes, well, that was a little shocking. I
Yes.
tried to be a little more balanced after that.
I know.
And that's part of the discovery, my discovery, I think, which is that home and the road are equally important. And maybe that's the way we evolved as human beings, because we were always following the weather, following animals, with our yurts and our group. Mm-hmm. So there's something that, there's something in ourselves that makes us want to travel.
Well, it was really interesting was to read about this is from your childhood, and you talk a lot about your father, which I didn't know about. You lived in a trailer. You guys traveled around all the time.
Yes, and I was so much in rebellion and denial about that myself that it was only after I started a book about being on the road that I realized, wait a minute, maybe this had something to do with my childhood in a house trailer, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, you call your father a gypsy father. He had something to do with my love for traveling. You also said, too, you credit your father with all of the productive, nice male lovers you had in my life.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Why?
What does that mean?
Yeah,
Well, because if your father is, the person closest to you, is kind and funny and cares about you as a unique individual and cares about your talents and so on, you know that those men exist. And if
Yes, we do.
Yes. And if you've had quite the contrary, someone distant or cruel or even violent, you see women continuing to work that out, trying to get a cold, distant guy to love them, if you see what I mean.
It informs your expectations.
Yes,
Yeah,
right.
your
Makes a lot of
experience,
sense.
absolutely.
And you said, luckily in your life, you've been pretty good when it comes to men in your life. You've only had a couple of clunkers. Let's talk about them. What are they doing today, Gloria? But your dad really was.
I'm not going there. I'm not going
No, I get you. You describe at one point, it's sort of like Ryan O'Neal and Tatum O'Neal. You really were a paper moon. You didn't go to school when you were younger. You don't drive even today. And it sort of shaped the person who you are today.
Well, and once the paper moon part was that once after I'd come home from India, he picked me up in San Francisco and we went across country together. And he had been buying and selling antique jewelry, so he would get me to where to go into a shop, and the people would think that maybe we were a down on our luck pair and buy it. Now, it took me years to realize we were a down on our luck pair, but he made a game out of it. He made it an adventure.
There are still some real issues at stake. I want to start with this. Meryl Streep, who stars in the new movie Suffragette as Emmeline Pankhurst. You sounded almost like Emmeline Pankhurst in that clip there. She says she doesn't consider herself a feminist. She says she considers herself a humanist. Why is it that the feminist label, do you think, still has that?
Well, I think she said she's a feminist and a humanist. So I take from that, the tradition of humanism is that you believe in people rather than God. So she may just have been saying both things. But the word feminism has been turned into a bad word by Rush Limbaugh, who talks about feminazis every day. And so, but if people just go to the dictionary and discover that it means a person, male or female, who believes in the full equality of women and men, then they do subscribe to it. And it is a majority now, which it didn't used to be.
Is pay equity the most important issue on women's agendas?
No, I don't think so. I mean, it's very important,
Right.
and it's also, incidentally, would be the biggest economic stimulus this
Right.
country could ever,
So if
ever
it's not, what
have.
is?
But what is tied, I think, for first place is, first of all, violence against women.
Right.
Because there is so much worldwide, whether it's sexualized violence in wartime or domestic violence like here, or, I mean, there are just so many forms.
It's
Great
great
to have you at
you
our
at
round
this
table.
table. You're in the circle.
Yes, I'm in the circle. But I have to say one more thing. Because there is so much violence, for the first time that we know of, there are now fewer females on Earth than males. So, we really need to look at this and understand that when a country is violent against females, it's the biggest indicator that they will be militarily violent too. It needs to be part of our foreign policy.
Gloria Steinem, as always, you leave us something to think about as we go to break. Thank you, Gloria. Always good to see you.
Thank you.